I'm here with Ryan O'Rourke, owner and, do you roast?
Do some roasting.
Do some roasting, owner and roaster of Ironclad Coffee out here in Richmond, Virginia. So yeah, just to get started, Ryan, if you could just tell some of the folks out there how you came to be in the coffee business, how you got started.
As a young adult, my parents opened 2 coffee shops. So through that experience, I got to see the professional side of coffee for the first time.
Okay.
And then in 2011, my wife and I moved to Ireland, the Republic of Ireland.
All right.
And back in 2011, it's come a long way since in Ireland as far as specialty coffee, but back in spring of 2011, it was very little available.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
It's such a tea drinking country, such a tea absorbed culture that coffee, doesn't get the attention because of that. So at that point, I kind of made a decision. I either have to stop drinking coffee because the coffee that I could find was really quite bad, to be kind. Or I had to learn to roast my own coffee at home, or find some coffee roasting companies outside of Ireland and other parts of Europe that I could get coffee from. So that's what I did. I always give a shout out to Has Been Coffee in the UK, in England, and Stephen Layton, their founder, got hooked up with his weekly subscription, and his coffees, the way they were roasted, they just, my palate and my appreciation for the flavors that could be contained in the coffee when roasted well, it just went through the roof. And so at that point, after a couple of years of that, I decided to look into what was involved in home roasting. After almost 5 years in Ireland, I had made the decision that I wanted to go into that full-time, roasting full-time.
Can you speak a little bit about where your coffee comes from and why it's important to support some of the farmers and stuff down the line?
Yeah, from the beginning, we have done some direct trade things. Dealing directly with the farmers.
Yep.
And I know there's even that term direct trade even is loaded and has a lot of debate now.
It does.
It's always there's always a debate raging about terminology and stuff like that. But dealing directly with farmers and working with folks and making sure paying more for those coffees for the quality that's in them, but also that having a social impact on the farms as well.
If you had to give advice to new roasters, or if you had to give yourself advice maybe a year ago, what have you learned about this whole process now?
It's not like I learned this. I learned it from the roastery, but again, exponentially more so. Stuff is expensive. Everything,
all right.
Everything costs more than you think it's going to cost. So that won't help everyone, but for anyone that's out there looking to open a roastery or a cafe, seriously, just expect that. Yeah, time, money, challenges. That's the thing, but don't let that discourage you.
Why stay in Richmond? Did you ever consider moving to taking the business and putting it in a different city, or were you always about hey, when I come home, I'm?
Yeah, when we were moving back from Ireland, we literally could have chosen any city, town, hamlet, village, whatever. We could have gone anywhere. Had a few finalist cities, and just Richmond kept coming back to the top of the list because Richmond is becoming known nationwide and even worldwide for its food scene, restaurants going crazy.
It's coming, yes.
Yeah, and the beverage scene as well, the beer and lots of other kinds of beverages. So we're happy to be here to be a part of
this new wave.
Yeah, elevating the Richmond coffee scene along with everyone else. Trying to get us more on the map as a coffee city. We're just one of several good things going on, but hopefully there's a lot more of that to come.
Roasting, is it more art or more science? If you had to lean one way or the other.
I would say it's more science, and I've read commentary from some very knowledgeable people and know what they're doing that say it's all science. It's like the art, there's no art to it. You can break it down to its simplest parts. It's
and just
all
make
science.
It predictable. Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think I know what people mean when they say art. So I would lean toward more science because you really can explain everything if you want to do the research and understand what's happening in the process. So it's very sciencey, but I know what people mean by art. Developing your own style. I think that's where the art part comes in.
100%.
Your own style of doing it.
Talk a little bit about, I just want to follow up on what you said about you guys' style, your roast profile, your style. You're very deliberate about what you want from the coffee.
We do fall on the lighter end of the spectrum, but being very careful to not leave that coffee underdeveloped. We want those sugars caramelized. We don't want any of those grassy notes, ideally, but still, stopping well short of just making it chocolatey, roasty, smoky, and homogenizing. We have, let's say, 20 different coffees in here right now. If we roasted them all to a real dark roast, they would all end up tasting pretty much exactly the same. we buy these coffees from these farmers in all these different places that have gone to all these lengths and efforts to
have different varietals.
the different varietals, all the elevation differences and the processing methods. They've done all this to create a unique cup, something that's very identifiable with their farm, and they do all this work, and then it gets to us, and we just roast the crap out of it, and
that's gone.
It's gone. Yeah, we roasted it out. So, and again, this is nothing groundbreaking or trailblazing. It's just explaining all this. This is our style.
So tell people how they can find Ironclad. You guys are online at
Ironclad.coffee.
Oh,
yeah,
Ironclad.coffee.
www.ironclad.coffee
Domain,
or ironcladcoffee.com.
Okay.
Take it to the same place. Richmond, pretty centrally located in the city in the historic Shockoe Bottom neighborhood. One of the most, if not the most historic parts of one of the most historic cities in the country.
Thanks for sitting down and talking to me, Ryan. I appreciate it.